Welcome to the next segment in our video series, the top 10 planning mistakes that will keep you from retiring well and what you can do about them. I'm RJ Kelly. I'm founder and chief visionary officer of Wealth Legacy Group and the Wealth Legacy family of companies here in San Diego. And this series comes from my over 30 years passion helping clients as a fee-based independent registered investment advisor, chartered financial consultant, and retirement income certified professional. At Wealth Legacy Group, we offer more than just retirement planning advice and investment expertise. We bring a unique perspective forged over decades of experience as a multidisciplinary investment, financial advisory, insurance, counseling, and legacy planning group. It's great to have you with us, and I hope you've been bringing a pen and a notepad so you can jot things down as it applies to your situation and ask yourself, I wonder how this fits with me or fits with us. Better yet, you can send us an email or give us a call. I'll give you the contact information at the end of the video. Now, in the last segment, I talked about the impact of dramatically increasing longevity and the tremendous challenge this is having on how we invest. I discussed the need to include stocks and real estate as investments in portfolios to stay ahead of inflation. Not the only things you should have in the portfolio, but you need to have at least some there so that you won't run out of money in retirement. Now, in this session, I want to address an area that many retirees say they wish they had planned for better, and that's their home, and especially having and addressing debt that they might have once they come into retirement. What are the pitfalls and the benefits? Now, for starters, the number one thing retirees say they wish they had planned for better, having their home paid off. Or nearly so. For most of it, it's our single greatest expense by far. So having that expense out of our budget can make the single greatest difference between a successful retirement or one in which you're constantly struggling to make ends meet. Now, if you have time remaining, by that I would define that as at least 10 years or more before retirement, you can likely go to your lender's online website and do some kind of what-if calculations. In fact, I did this last night with our own home mortgage lender. What would it take to have our mortgage paid off by year X amount that I wanted greater freedom to do with my wife and I? And just I thought, let's look at it. So I calculated how much extra we need to pay monthly between now and then. And well, it's not insignificant. My mind this morning is already figuring out how we can do this. Plus, just something, knowing that we have only our property taxes, insurance to pay at that point, will be a big increase in the amount of money that's going to stay in our pockets. So already I'm getting excited by the idea, and you will too. Although I'm not paying off your mortgage, just ours, okay? I just want to put that out there. Now, we bought our home looking ahead and determined that it would fit our lifestyle of increased travel, be accessible for our kids and families, and be very easy to rent out for significantly more than our fixed costs if we ever decide to do that. What if yours is not the case, or maybe you're planning on retirement in less than 10 years? What can you do? Well, here are just a couple of ideas and suggestions. Number one, will you need some of the equity from your home to help pay for retirement? Or potentially if you have a long-term care expense or some other type of healthcare expense. Now, if that's the case, you can consider the applicability of what's called a reverse mortgage. And I'll be shooting straight with you here. I've not historically been a fan of reverse mortgages because the industry at the time did not seem very well regulated, and the individuals involved just didn't feel trustworthy to me. But that has changed. Some of the most ethical and some of the smartest people I know are advisors in this space now. There are situations where a personal residence is the only asset that someone has, and a reverse mortgage, well, it may actually be the only way short of selling the home to tap into that equity to pay for care and other expenses. Your property value, or $625,000, whichever is less, is multiplied by what they call the PLF, which stands for the principal limit factors. Principal limit factors. Now, this provides the percent of maximum claim amount allowable in cash draws, given the age of the borrower and expected interest rates for the loan. From this, they come up with what your maximum loan will be. So you're not going to be strapped with a loan that you just can't handle. So for example, if your home is worth $500,000 and your principal limit factor is 50%, well, that means you can borrow $250,000 over time. Now, there are a number of calculators on the internet that can help you determine how much you could potentially borrow using a reverse mortgage lump sum calculator. Alternatively, we work with several highly respected advisors in this space who can help you understand whether reverse mortgage might be right for you or not. So ask us about this when you send an email or make a call to us. Our contact information will be provided at the end of this video. And as with everything, there are negatives to this idea. There's no silver bullet. And in this case, the loan balance increases over time as interest on the loan and fees accumulate. As home equity is used, fewer assets are available to leave to your heirs. That's a negative. And you can still leave the home to your heirs. That most people don't get that. They don't understand that. But you actually can still leave the home to your heirs, but they will have to repay the loan balance. Typically, that's going to come by selling the home after you and your spouse have passed away. Now, one further advantage of keeping the home in your name or in the names of you and your spouse or your partner, actually it won't work if it's your partner. It has to be a spouse on this one. But if you keep it in your name until death occurs, there's what's called a step-up in basis that comes, particularly if we're in a community property state like California, and there are a few other community property states. There's a special quirk in community property rules that if someone dies and their spouse also owns the property as community property, then both halves of the property get a step-up in basis. So again, that's a very quirky sort of thing about California, and unfortunately, most agents, most real estate agents and banks, title the property as joint tenancy with rights of survivorship and not as community property. So unfortunately, you've got to make sure that it's titled as community property when you both die. But then the next day, your heirs or whomever can sell the property, they'll pay no tax. And so again, what it means when there's a step up in basis is that the day after you and your spouse pass away, the heirs can sell the home and have no capital gains taxes to recognize. And again, if you utilize this special quirk with community property law, both halves get a step up in basis. Now, here's another rule. If the property is passed to your children in California, well, they can inherit your property tax assessment without a new or a higher reassessment. That's pretty attractive too, especially in California. Now, if the idea of reverse mortgage doesn't appeal to you, I get it. Or if you're flexible in your home location after you retire, there are a number of options to consider. Some dear friends of ours just built a beautiful home in North Carolina, and it's the home of their dreams. Dollars go a lot further back there, and having a home with a very small mortgage gives them a lot of extra money to continue their lifestyle of spending 6 weeks in Hawaii and other travel, which includes time with their beloved daughter and their family. And I might add, for those who are a little more daring and those who might like a cross-cultural opportunity, living in such countries as Costa Rica or Mexico, Central America, maybe not so much in South America, but there are several different countries, Costa Rica is great, where you can stretch your retirement dollars a whole lot farther. In fact, there are whole neighborhoods of U.S. what we call expats, expatriates, that are living in communities. They've got their own Walmarts, they got their own Costco's. Now, speaking Spanish doesn't hurt, but it's not a requirement. And again, your money just goes a whole lot further in those places. And healthcare options, well, it can be just as good as well. Even long-term healthcare facilities with the highest standards are available now in Tijuana and other parts of Mexico. But Tijuana is especially attractive because then you can always drive back into San Diego if you need to. And here's another thing. If you're willing to relocate, but don't want to leave the good old US of A, you can sell. You can move to a cheaper city that's well suited for retirees. Florida is kind of like the whole Mecca, the whole state. But Google it and you'll find a host of options or places to move that allow your dollars to go a whole lot further. Now, I did look at some of them, like Cleveland, and sort of in the Midwest, and no offense against Cleveland, but I'm not sure that's high on my where I want to move to. Don't think that would sell with my wife either, but okay, there are some other fun towns that you can move to. And another idea, if you're flexible and want to stay in your community, is to start with downsizing. Sell your current home, buy a smaller place in the same area, and put your profits towards living expenses or invest some of that money. Now, in California, for example, to assist homeowners that are 55 years of age or older in this situation, the voters of California passed Proposition 60 and 90. Now, if you meet the eligibility requirements, you can transfer your home's current Proposition 13 value, that's that base year value for your property taxes, to a different home. You can actually move it to a different home if you're 55 and older. So for many who've been in their homes for, since the Earth's crust was cooling, keeping this low property tax assessment is a tremendous benefit. And now for the ultimate in downsizing, consider a tiny home for retirement. And I'm serious when I say that. Tiny homes are inexpensive, upkeep is easy, and utility bills are really low. Now, one last idea, you may be able to just stay put and find a roommate. The rental income will supplement your Social Security and your savings. We have some other very clever friends that rent out rooms to scientists, doctors, and other professionals for up in North County in San Diego. These renters have their own access into the home, and they're quiet, they're very interesting, super smart, and they're willing to pay a lot of good money for a room on either a short-term or a longer-term basis. So think about that. So I hope this segment has prompted a whole bunch of questions. I promised you our contact information if you'd like to send us your questions or to arrange for a 20-minute absolutely free consultation. You can visit us on the website for more information or just shoot an email to the address given below. And last but not least, call our 800 number. It's a free call and it's a free consultation. We'll talk about whatever's on your mind as regards could be your retirement planning, or maybe your estate planning, or really insurance or legacy, family succession, business succession. We're a multidisciplinary planning group that we can go deep, but we can also go wide when it comes to these important topics. But the main thing is don't put it off. Let's start a conversation to talk about what you've got in place, what you're concerned about. I'll give you some candid feedback about what I like what you're doing and where I think there's room for improvement. So call us at the 800 number. Just don't put it off. In the next segment, I'm going to be talking about another planning mistake from my perspective, and that's planning on your Social Security, and I'm going to clear up as many of the misconceptions and misunderstandings as I can about this important pillar in all of our retirement planning. Will it be there or not? I'm RJ Kelly. If you found this helpful, or if you'd like to leave us a comment below, we'd love to hear from you. And if there's someone else you think that might benefit from hearing this, won't you share it with them? That's why we're making these videos available, to help you and others retire on your terms, living out the life that you've only imagined and wondered if it was possible. And I'm here to tell you it is, as long as you plan in advance for it. And so let's get started planning for your ideal tomorrows today. I'm RJ Kelly. Thanks for being with us.